What's going on, NuCanoe Nation, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back, 2023, boys and girls. Sorry, we're running a little late. I am currently in the great state of Indiana, down here for the Archery Trade Show Association show. So I got hung up in some business meetings, but good to be back at the grind. I know we kind of took a little time off there in December for the holidays and things like that. Hope you guys had a great Christmas, a happy New Year's, and all that good stuff. So looking forward to get back to the Unlimited podcast grind here. Wanted to kick off the year with a great guest, Gene Campbell, one of our team members. He's based out in Colorado, does a lot of stuff with veterans. Came from the bass boat world. Now he's in the kayak world, and good stuff. Excited to have him on. He's got his own podcast as well, so I'm sure we'll talk about that a bit. But just wanted to kind of give you guys a little preface. Don't forget to drop in the chat where you guys are tuning in from, what kind of kayak you're floating out of. We don't even care if it's not a NuCanoe. We got some familiar faces in the chat. James O'Neill, Happy New Year, brother. Thanks for tuning in. Bo Brock, what's up, brother? Hope you're doing well. Good to see some faces. Good to be back. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And let's get the man of the hour in here. Let's just get right into it, boys and girls. Mr. Gene Campbell, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it, man. It's awesome to be on this bad boy here.
Yeah, no, it's good, man. We got to record a little podcast, the two of us, the other day, and it only made sense to get you on the Unlimited show and kind of talk about what you do, which I think is very important. And, NuCanoe in general. You're in a different state, and it's a state we haven't talked to somebody from. I know you're kind of from the upper Midwest, but you've recently moved to Colorado. So want to get your take on, the whole kayak fishing scene out there and stuff like that. Cause it always intrigues me. And I think it's an area of the country that would love to see more kayak fishing growth in,
We're very fortunate to have the two clubs that we do have here for kayak fishing. For whatever reason, man, it just it's kind of that jump over. It's almost for the kayak world and for fishing in general, unless you're talking fly fishing or trout.
Yeah, right.
I mean, fly fishing and trout, that's you come here. But there actually is some decent bass fishing out here. I mean, it's not going to be world renowned, but I'll tell you what, the scenery when you're out there on those mountain lakes, man, or in the foothill lakes.
Yeah.
Nah, dude, it's, I enjoy the fact that I get to travel around the country and fish. And then when I am back home here, it's super cool just to take in the scenery. So
for sure, man. Well, let's start off. Let's get a little background about you, man. Like, where are you from? How did you, end up in Colorado? What got you into fishing? And then essentially what led you to getting in a NuCanoe?
So yeah, the short version, I'm a transplant native of Colorado. I've spent over 20 plus years out here total collectively.
Okay.
But I spent a 10-year stint in Minnesota, which is what was the gateway drug for me, right? It got me into tournament fishing. It locked me in.
Sure.
Been fishing ever. I mean, it's literally I can recall times. I mean, if you want to call it fishing, my brother and I going down to a local lake in town, and the spillway, we would take rocks and nail the sucker fish that would get caught on the spillway, and throw them and take them back to mom. And she would be like, "What are you doing bringing this back?" We thought we were, from the great wilderness, man. We thought we were providing there. But we've all, I always grew up around fishing, but the competitive piece kicked in probably, like I said, that was definitely Minnesota area up there. They've got a really good scene up there. A lot of really good salty hooks, that are running around up there in the north. And we got in on the boat side, and all of a sudden I started applying some of the business background in my head and started realizing, you know what, there's more to this than what the average bear is, thinking, or what people will tell you.
Sure.
And there really could be something here. I spent 23 years in the IT industry. I'm a computer nerd by trade, but also with a business degree. And so, it just, as time went on, we kept looking for what was going to be that next step for us. Moved back home here to Colorado. And I'm trying to put a finger on what exactly it was. I was already set and ready to go. We were lined up for some BFL events, some Toyota Series events. We were ready to go on the MLF side of things. And this was last year. And I'll be honest with you, on our nonprofit side, we were looking to get into some kayak fishing to provide that.
Sure.
Because putting 3 or 4 of my bass boats out there was going to be a heck of a lot pricier than putting 3 or 4 kayaks out there.
Right. Sure.
Well, I went down the list calling and talking to some, trying to speak to somebody. And I have no problem saying this. Most of the manufacturers that I called never called me back.
Okay.
And I just simply gave them an elevator speech about, my name is Gene, working for this nonprofit, and we're looking to try to get something started here in Colorado. I'm looking for a strategic partner. If you'd be so kind, please call me back, and let's, love to chat about this. I called NuCanoe, the lovely young lady that answers the phone. Here's my little spiel there. And she says, you need to talk to Blake about this. And I'm like, hold on. Blake, I've done my research before I called. I'm like, you mean Blake Young, the president of the, she's like, yeah. And so I'm waiting on here you go. I'll give him your message and he'll get back with you. I'm waiting for that.
Sure.
And she says, just hold for me a second. I'm going to transfer you over. And I'm sitting there like, oh, okay, hold on. Who is this company? So literally, as I'm getting transferred over, I'm starting to pull up more stuff on my screen, and I'm looking at it. Blake gets on the phone. And literally from the first moment on, I could tell this was a guy that I was going to like. I hit him with my elevator speech, and his no nonsense return came back with, okay, I like it. What do you need from us?
Sure.
And I'm like, whoa, I was not prepared, Brian. I'll tell you, I was not prepared to hear that. And so I'm sitting there stumbling, and I'm sure you heard ruffling of paper as I'm looking around. So we start talking, and he throws out some ideas, and I toss out some stuff. We come to an awesome agreement. Next thing you know, I'm talking to Brian Romans at the Romans Warrior Foundation, which is who I was working for at the time, on the nonprofit side. And I get the 3 of us all circled together, and we take delivery on 4 Unlimiteds, man. 4 nice. Unlimiteds come in at a deal that we can set up. And the purpose of these is just to get veterans, first responders, and their families, get them on the water. Like the very roots of NuCanoe, man, get their butt in a canoe, in a kayak out there, get them in a seat and get them on the water. And we started with that. We've evolved quite a bit where we started just literally a year ago. Companies like crazy joining on board. We're aligning up a ton of resources together, and we're actually kind of drawing back a little bit so we can be a little bit more focused in some areas. But we're excited about this coming year. And here recently, the True Patriot Outfitters, which was my DBA'd company, has spun off from the LLC and is now an actual nonprofit itself. So cool. And so we're taking ownership right here of the kayak fishing piece of it specifically. I still work with Romans. I'm still part of the team there with the Warrior Field Ops. That's not going to change. We still provide outdoor activities across the nation with that. But True Patriot Outfitters, we're going to own that kayak fish piece, just because when rewinding the story, when Blake said yes to this and I found out we were going to be getting these, Brian was actually the one that said, why don't you fish out of a kayak? I'm like, well, because I don't own a kayak. He says, we own 4, and I will sponsor you to the point of getting Romans Warrior Foundation name out there. He goes, that's how you can use that. Just use it for obviously all of our events. He goes, but we own it. He goes, you use it on the trail out there and, put us right on the front of the jersey and let's get this going.
That's super cool.
And I start thinking about it and I'm looking through, and then next thing you know, I'm busting out spreadsheets and I'm running numbers and I'm crunching things. And I'm like,
typical tournament angler type
55,
deal.
exactly. And computer nerd. Yeah. 55-gallon fuel tank on my nitro, 1 battery.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Which one makes more sense?
And this was right before gas went
through the roof.
Horrendous. I'm happy to report, dumb luck, but happy to report I never had to fill that 55-gallon tank up at those wicked prices.
Sure.
Thank God. I mean, I miss my Merc, make no mistake. That Pro XS was an unbelievable power plant, but I do not miss the bass boat world. I don't miss anything about it, to be honest with you. The people, I miss hanging out with some of those dudes. I mean, I made some really good buddies along the way, and I'd like to think we're still good buddies.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to get them in a kayak now.
Yeah, right.
But I absolutely fell in love with the kayak community. I love the grassroots of the whole thing. We're still brand new and fledgling, on the tournament side of things.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? Like, you talk to anybody across the country that's involved in kayak fishing somewhat, whether it's recreational, tournament, things like that. Everybody has the same response. Like, the kayak fishing community it's like a brotherhood, right? It's a tight-knit family. Everybody's accepted. Nobody's, it's not real cliquey, things like that. I mean, yeah, there are some, small groups of anglers that hang out with each other and stuff like that. But overall, on any given day, a kayak angler will do whatever they can to help you out and have a better day on the water, and it's super unique. But before we dive deeper, man, I want to take a step back, right?
Okay.
You were talking about, the nonprofit, and I was curious because, when we had I recorded with you the other day for your podcast, and I knew this was coming up. I'm like, what got you involved in, helping veterans and the nonprofit to, help veterans out, dealing with, some of the life things that, have occurred in their lives and things like that.
So that was, was always raised, always come up and around, being patriotic. When I see a flag, I don't see a government. I see men and women and families. That's what I see. And that's the most important piece to me. So that's always been there as a staple. I am a former first responder myself. I was on the Larimer County Dive Rescue Team for several years, and absolutely loved that work. 100% full volunteer. And that was an awesome period in my life, that community service. And I knew that we wanted to get involved some way with, giving something back. It had to be more than just chasing fish or chasing a check.
Sure.
We're going to do this full time. Everybody and their aunt and uncle, and I mean no disrespect, but everybody and their aunt and uncle is buy my fishing rod, buy my fishing tackle.
Yeah.
So regardless of my education in this area or my experience, I don't have a name that even remotely rhymes with Van Dam or Iaconelli. And the reality of our industry is the reality of our industry.
Sure.
And so I'm like, nope, that's what everybody else is doing. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. There's another way to do this.
Sure.
And I was looking at, and I started providing some advertising, if you will, and some promotional work for a couple nonprofits around here, just because it was something that, we can give back that way. We can try to help out and volunteer, help raise funds, whatever. We can raise attention to them. There's tricky rules with nonprofits. They can't do what's called a call to action, if you will.
Sure.
Let's say you donate to me. I can't say, hey folks, get on down to Brian's car lot and buy a car from him today because he sponsored us.
Sure.
Now your donation was no longer a donation. Now it's advertising, and we're both going to get taxed on it.
Right.
So I knew they had that issue. So it's like, you know what? My goofy, bonehead can jump in there, and I can say, hey, you guys know Brian takes care of these guys over here. Get on down, check out his car lot. So we were kind of, able to fill a gap with that. Well, the fast forward piece here, Warrior Bonfire Program. I had a chance to meet retired Lieutenant Colonel Mike Foss, and speak with Miss Helen Phillips, the vice president of that organization. They asked me to, when I called up and told them that I would like to find ways to help and work with them, they invited me to Vienna, Missouri, to a retreat that was going to be held, one of the bonfires there. 6 Purple Heart recipient combat wounded veterans, all working with their own baggage here and there, with based on the service that they provided for this country. And they asked me to come down there, bring my boat, bring my fishing gear, and show these guys some bass fishing, because many of them had never been bass fishing.
Huh.
And a lot of these guys were from all over the country, just kind of flown into this little private families, like 200-acre little pond, and big enough place I could almost stretch the legs of that nitro. Almost, I think we hit about 60, and then I had to shut it down real quick. And I was like, okay. But yeah, they asked me to come there and spend some time with them. So I did that. I spent 4.5 days there with these gentlemen. And by the time I left, Brian, my entire world had flipped on its head. We realized then and there at that piece, when I saw the healing benefits of just fishing, being outdoors, and me just simply sharing a passion that I love to do, what it did for them. And when I saw that brotherhood and that bond forming, and when they welcomed me in and one of the gentlemen there gave me the title, and the owner of the property says, you two are true patriots. Your citizens worth fighting for you. So you don't have to be veterans to have my respect. And dude, when he called me a true patriot, it was, like I said, it was like, there's dad. That was the best title I've ever been called. True patriot was right. Before it was coach. Now true patriot was there because of where it came from,
Sure.
I spent, 3-4 hours on the trip back, the 13-hour drive back, talking to my wife on the phone. And we changed our entire business model. We knew it then and there. This is what we're doing. We are going to find ways to do this, share our passion for the outdoors, see if we can give these guys, these men and women, the bug of fishing. Plus, we kind of offer something that was not found that much.
Sure.
We're a goofball that does this for a living, and we fish at against some of the top anglers in the country. So between those two things, we could call ourselves, a professional at doing this. I always tell people, I'm a professional kayak angler. I just didn't say I was a good one.
Yeah, right.
We're still working on that part there. But no, we realized that that's what we wanted to do, man. And so the next thing you know, I'm more connected with Roman's Warrior. We get swinging there, and by the end of this, now we're 2023, the True Patriots and Roman's Warrior Foundation. We're rocking and rolling with this, and we're looking for a pool of candidates that we can get in Unlimiteds out there. It's been changing for us, but yeah, that was the deal though with the Warrior Bonfire Program. That when I saw it firsthand, I did all the research, right? I mean, I'm all about science.
Sure.
Medical journals left and right talk about recreational therapy. It is a measurable, real impact, health benefit that it has for folks working with PTS, anxiety, depression, you name it. It's real. And all that's fine and dandy, but dude, when you witness it firsthand, I'm telling you right now, it blows you away. It hits you, and it's like, okay, if I got to do it one at a time, well, by God, we'll do it one at a time.
Yeah.
But we're going to do this. We're going to give these guys, just a little sense of peace, some focus, some clarity. And then when you connect them with others that have walked in their shoes, dude, that's the ultimate.
Yeah, it's a domino effect, right? You get one, and he mentions it to them and says, hey man, this has changed my whole outlook on things. And, it was a healing process. And they're like, oh, well, maybe I can get that out of that.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that I'm not a veteran myself, there's no possible way, no matter how much research I do, no matter how many guys I talk to, I will never be able to fully understand what a combat veteran has gone through.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
It's impossible. It doesn't mean I can't help though.
Right.
So
right,
you
right.
accept that you won't be able to fully understand. So the key becomes me finding other combat veterans out there and connecting these warriors together so that they understand they've got brothers, sisters, and citizens out there that care for them, that they mean, the world to us. We're very thankful for everything that they have given, to us, so that knuckleheads like you and I can do this stuff. You know what I mean? And so It's like, if you can connect them like that, one of the beauties is just stepping back and watching the two of them start to, or two or three of the little groups start to chat, man. It's super, super powerful stuff.
It's awesome to, have something to give back for those who gave, you know what I mean? And, whether that's, fishing, hiking, hunting, camping, whatever it may be. And just to give them a little piece of normal life back and get back into that groove, dude, it's so huge, and
one of the best quotes I've ever seen. I don't know who this came from. It may have been somebody just literally online through social media, but it's one of the most impactful quotes that I've ever seen, is that every soldier pays with their life.
Sure.
Some just pay it all up front.
Yeah.
And when you fully understand that, then you get the point that, yeah, they're home. Yeah, they've got a job. But you have no idea what's going on inside their minds and the things that they were forced to see and do. And
experience.
So if you can share your passion with hunting, your passion with kayaking or fishing or anything that involves the outdoor and a focal point of, a mission of some kind, type deal, where we're here to get this done. You combine that stuff together and you put them around like-minded individuals, dude, it is way better than any bag of opioids that's going to be trying to thrown at them.
Sure.
And it's something they can carry with them and they can pass on to their kids. That was actually one, not to go down a rabbit hole too far, but one of our token Marine at the Vienna, Missouri bonfire, this young man, he come up to me and he asked me, "Hey, do you have any more of those hooks that you were showing there?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, dude." I'm like, "In that front locker gear there in my boat, pop that up. You dig through anything. Consider me a tackle store. Get in there, help yourself. Whatever you need, you load up." He goes, "Would you mind giving me some advice on what to go?" I'm like, "Let's do it, brother. Let's go." So we go down and we start doing this. He shares with me that his son had recently, they lived up in North Illinois. His son had recently started to get the itch for fishing. Well, he didn't, our Marine here didn't feel real confident that he could show his kid much.
Sure.
Because he hadn't really grown up around fishing too much.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, you know what? We're going to load you up. So I gave him the full rundown on, here is Senko 101, baby.
Yeah, right.
Here's a wacky rig.
Nice.
Get this wacky rig going. And I don't care where you go, 4 corners of the country, you're going to catch yourself some fish on it. So we hook him up. And I knew that I had a little setup back here at the house here in Colorado. So when I got home, we put together a little care package. I went over to Bass, a place that sells bass products here in Colorado. I went over to them and got a few little, some terminal tackle setups, got a little, actually a little Bass Mafia tackle bag, a little deal for him, hooked him all up, got him some swag, put a package, and I sent it off to this guy after the fact.
That's cool.
And dude, one of the coolest things was getting a picture of this young man, this kid holding all this stuff up and a grin just from ear to ear. And I'm like,
nice.
Yeah, I was like, in about 20 years, you're going to be like, dude, why did you get me hooked on this? He's going to be wasting as much money as we do on it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's things like that, and it's, again, it's one, maybe two at a time, but dude, it's better than none. And like I said, it's all of us that are enthusiasts of getting out there. You'd be surprised at what just sharing your passion with somebody, dude, what it can do for them. It's good stuff.
It's pretty cool, man. Like, I think we talked about it briefly a little bit, but, last year I kind of took a step back and it was like, I've caught so many fish, and it's so unique to, and I had this conversation with my wife as well. Like, I get more pleasure now out of showing others how to catch fish in ways that I like to catch them. Whether it be like deep offshore structure, tossing a Senko during the spawn or things like that, and
Yep.
I had some young guns and I had some old guys and everything in between that I took out this last year. And it was so satisfying. And I was like, man, maybe I should start doing a few guided trips here and there, during the year and things like that. And, just introduce people to the sport of bass fishing, and everybody that I took out, just kind of came away with the same response that you did.
Yeah.
Like, thank you so much. What were we using? Where can I get it? What should I do? Or what should I get? Rod, reel, line, and all down the line, and some of those guys now they're like getting all amped up for this upcoming season, and I'm getting some messages and stuff like that. And I'm like, I mean, to do it with a veteran by far trumps anybody that I've ever taken out, and I can only imagine, that sense of healing that they get, and then the sense of enjoyment you get out of it. Just me seeing, a young kid catch a fish, I get giddy as a schoolgirl, like it was my first bass I ever caught, seeing them do it. I can only imagine what it's like to see a vet, have that same pleasure.
A lot of it is understanding to the bug, the underneath piece that's taking place here. And if I had a better vocabulary and I could speak on the medical, side of this, I would. Thankfully, I associate with much smarter people than myself when it comes to a lot of these topics.
Sure.
Miss Michelle Kay of Operation Equine, she's the founder over there. She's a licensed mental health practitioner. And she has been absolutely huge in helping me better understand what's going on, because a lot of times what happens here is it's not like this earth moving moment that takes place.
Sure.
What happens is if it's just one-on-one, you give them a period of time in the day where things are focused. Things aren't chaotic anymore. They're looking for that fish, dude. That's what they're focused on right now. So they don't have a bunch of stuff buzzing around in their head. They're thinking about, what color of Senko do I need to get to get that guy out from underneath that log over there? Because I'm parked right with them. We got a pair of Unlimiteds, bearing down on this brush pile. And we're trying to, pull them out of here. And so it's things like that they don't realize, a lot of times. And it's this underlined piece here that what you're doing is you're creating a new area that their bodies subconsciously will start to crave, because you got hooked on fishing. I got hooked on fishing, and it wasn't because of some weird celestial, alignment of Pluto and Jupiter.
Sure.
It's because our bodies too crave that piece. I've often said, dude, my world makes the most sense to me when I am on the water, fresh water somewhere, be it a lake, a river, stream, something, that's the piece there for me. And it's because inside, that's what I'm saying. It's that underlying piece. So if we can give them that bug, dude, if we can get, yes, go spend ridiculous money on fishing equipment like the rest of us.
Sure.
There's many of us that will get together with you and we'll all compare.
Right.
So yeah, man, it's a cool deal that goes on there. So there's a lot more to it that I don't even understand. One of the biggest pieces we want to do for this year, working with Miss Michelle Kay, is we want to create a an operating curriculum for these outings. I want to make sure that I'm providing the environment, the atmosphere, the content that is the most beneficial to them.
Sure.
So when volunteers go out or we go out, we have, just key little pieces in there that are in there. Nothing like, okay, for today's agenda, we're going, none of that mess. We're going fishing, dude. I mean, that's what we're going to do. I just want to make sure that I'm helping so that if it's 4 hours that we got today, I want it to be the best damn 4 hours those guys have had, in the last year.
Sure.
And so it's pieces like that. We'll just keep evolving this stuff, dude.
We got a great question in here. Bo Brock said, can tell you're super passionate about what you're doing, man. Keep up the honorable, important work. Do you know how many veterans, first responders you've taken out so far?
Me personally, or the RWF and volunteers and that sort of thing? Just
let's run down the line of all of them. Why not?
So no, I don't have a number off the top. A lot of the times, one of the mistakes that we made early on was not asking permission to take pictures, videos, things like this. We made the choice to err on the side of, look, this is their time and we're gonna respect that.
Sure.
So we didn't document much. In truth be told, I mean, I can say we're still very young with doing this, so it's not a large number right now.
Sure.
We would love to see ourselves as we are now. The True Patriot Outfitters is literally, waiting on the IRS to give me the stamp to say, yes, you're good to go. We would love to see somewhere between 3 and 4 trips a month is ideal. What we'd like to see in the first 12 to 24 months. Those trips can be, but one person up to, 3 total. I don't want it to be any bigger than that.
Sure.
I think
that's important too,
Yeah. I don't want it to get washed down, watered down. You know what I mean? We're more interested in the quality piece.
Sure.
And that's just on the kayak side of things. The work we do with Roman's Warrior Foundation is where we start hitting larger groups with the work with the wall, the Global War on Terror's Wall of Remembrance, the Stop 22 tour. These are national signed recording artists from LA to Nashville that are all part of this. They're all veterans creating a music therapy piece, if you will. The Hoosiers with Hearts disaster relief team. That is a group of award-winning barbecue just artists that in the event that there is a crisis or some sort of natural disaster of some kind, they load up with a ton of food and water, go on scene to these locations and feed the first responders that are there trying to take care of folks. They're part of our group. So that's where we get a national, big hit is on the Roman side. But for the most part, for us here, it's like I said, it's a very few number. I think we went out last year with six or 7.
Okay.
As we are trying to get our feet wet with this whole thing, trying to get things, and some of them weren't official, outings, so to speak. And literally, a lot of times that's some of the best ones, dude.
Yeah.
Just, hey, you want to go out? Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
They got a kayak. We got a kayak, and away we go. I get to show off my Unlimited to them.
Well, and I think that's important, right? Like I've talked to a few different veterans organizations, across the nation, and the guys that really, hit it out of the park seems like they're, taking one guy out, 2 guys out, like. It doesn't, for the veterans and first responders, it doesn't have to be like this huge spectacle thing, right? It's just got to be a day where, they don't need to worry about a camera in their face or, somebody like pumping them up while they're on the water doing a live stream or something like that. Like, that time is about them, and that's what's most important. Is they're out there doing their thing. All that other stuff is not important. It seems like that's where your main focus is. And that's the point I was trying to get at. It's, dealing with those guys one-on-one seems to make a much bigger and better difference than like this huge, like 20 or 30 group out. Yeah. You know what I mean? It seems like For the guys that do those bigger outings, it seems like those veterans don't get out of it what they should.
That's a very feasible and logical, I guess, assumption, on that piece for sure. For us, it made it real simple though. When we keep things, I am about as fiscally conservative as an angler can be. You know what I mean? There's certain areas I say that, and I've got tackle sitting in the mailbox waiting for me to go get it. And the wife looking at me, more tackle, really?
Yeah, really. Did you need that?
My objective was to, I had an opportunity to possibly work with an organization that was doing like 10 at a time or whatever. And I started looking at that going, man, the volunteers we're going to need, the space we're going to need, the food we're going to need, it just started raising the need. And I started thinking, we forgot about the guys we're serving in that, man.
Right.
So that's why we're actually selling off one of the Unlimiteds that we have. We're going to tone it down to keep 3 kayaks only. That we're going to be taking out. We do have a 4th one that is of an unnamed brand. Just it's a little bit easier for folks maybe that have a bad back or bad knees to get on it and move around. I have no problem. It's one of the 360s, one of the boat works.
Sure.
It's real easy for somebody to get on that thing, that maybe can't get down, on a fishing kayak.
Sure.
So we keep that one on hand for that purpose. But yeah, we want to draw that piece back, man, because what it does is it cuts costs, which means I can do more trips.
Yeah.
It's the same thing I did with my tournament trail season. Our focus now is the True Patriot Outfitters. The competitive side is on my wife and I. I mean, we still do that. And yes, it's kind of a necessary evil. It's what helps create the spectacle that is for this, that we're doing.
Sure.
But man, when I was looking at the bass schedule, the KBF schedule, the Hobie, I don't even consider getting in because I'm not going to pedal. I have a NuCanoe. I don't need a pedal.
Right.
I could, but I don't need to.
Right.
So I was looking at all the other national trails, and the All-American Kayak Series is one that kept coming up. Just be its location. Joshua Booth is fantastic. Runs a great series over there. I've met some really cool people in that. So we kind of budgeted, our year based on we can get in more by doing less, so to speak. And so that's the way we try to do it with the True Patriot Outfitters piece is, we draw back on a few areas, and we try to get strategic partners to work with us and keep those costs down. So when somebody donates to us, it's going to the permit fees to get there. It's going to the equipment needed. It's going to the fuel to get them there. Nobody at the TPO right now is taking a salary of any kind. Sure. My objective in the next 12 months is just get it to the point where this thing isn't costing me money.
Sure.
Because we've been pumping a lot of money into this thing for the last, 2 years. And I just like to get in the black. If we can get in the black with some support, man, that's going to be a win. And then I can just get good, and go out and win a few tournaments, you know what I mean? And try to pay for my own, my own stuff.
Right.
But yeah, if we can get the TPO operating in the black, man, that would be a heck of our goal at this point.
Heck yeah. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, like I told you, we try to keep these a little shorter, 30, 45 minutes, but
no worries.
I always try to end a show when I remember, and as we were coming into the new year, I'm like, I got to remember to continue on the tradition of, I always ask every guest, you have a Frontier 12, it's rigged up tandem. You can go out fishing for a day with anyone dead or alive. Who's it going to be?
Ooh.
This is always a tough one.
It is. I would say hands down, my stepfather that passed away in 1997, probably the only guy that I did not make it easy on him, but probably the only guy that I ever called, could have called a dad. We didn't get near as much time, to spend through that. So if I could take him out, one time and hear that laugh of his out there, where, and try to keep him in the damn kayak would be half the trouble. He had the dexterity of a bear cub with boxing gloves on, man. So keep him in the, keep his britches twixt the ditches up there, and I think we'd be all right. But yeah, definitely him, Wayne Grove.
That's great, man. That's great. That's awesome. Very cool. Well, I want to give you an opportunity to, plug the nonprofit, your podcast, all that stuff. Where can people follow you and the nonprofit and all that good stuff? And if, they have a way to help you guys out, where's a good outlet for them to go and do that?
Well, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, for sure. It's we're everywhere out there at True Patriot Outfitters. That's us, man. We're on YouTube with that. We're on Instagram, Facebook. We haven't tweeted yet. We're considering tweeting. I'm not ticking and talking yet either. We're focused on YouTube. That's a big one for us with the podcast. It's the True Patriot Outfitters Podcast. We have that going. The whole piece of that is to bring more awareness to, the nonprofit work that we're doing with Romans Warrior Foundation, because the more visual piece that we can give folks out there, the more, appealing to bigger sponsors it becomes. Sure. So just likes and shares and follows and subscribes, man, that is so important, because especially when it's organic, I'm not buying that stuff. So we're small right now, but we're getting bigger. Thanks to guys like you, coming on the show and then having us here. That's a huge, huge deal. One of the other pieces we do, man, when we're out competing we're competing in the All-American Kayak Series this year. That is our number one focus, along with the Colorado Kayak Bass Masters here in Colorado. When we're on the trail nationally, we're going to be stopping in at these local areas, trying to connect up with VFWs, American Legions, trying to see if we can find areas where we can bring that Stop 22 tour to their communities, get the wall, that mobile memorial in there. That is something that we want people to see. So if there's people out there and they see our schedule and they know, we're coming into town, man, hit me up. I am bleeding the green through and through for NuCanoe. It's been the only kayak I've ever fished out of. And I'll be honest with you, I had the opportunity to jump in a couple others for the coming season about the possibility of, some team talk, this and that. And I don't want to, dude. The thought of it is like, why? I have no reason to. I love my Unlimited. The thing is a battleship for a noob like me out there that can, get onto it. I've been on, 3-footers, trying to get myself into safety piece. That kayak handles everything. And so, yeah, man, when we're out running around out there, that's the biggest piece, is that if we're coming to your neck of the woods, in that area, feel free, man, reach out. I'd love to connect with folks. We're always looking for volunteers or ideas, you name it. We're just trying to spread the word. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck, man. It's good to see people like yourselves, doing things to give back to certain organizations, communities, folks like that. And, it takes a lot to stand up and do that and be an example for the rest of us. Right. So it's huge, man. And I, congratulate you on your success with everything, and look forward to seeing, what you guys do this year and the years to come. Well, I can tell you, man, it's one of the biggest key secrets. I just turned 50 in November, and I'll tell you, the smartest thing you can do is surround yourself with smart people. And I honestly, truly, truly believe that I've done that by having the opportunity to join Team NuCanoe, be in this community with you, man, with all the other team members. Part of the best team, that it's what attracted me there is more just the community side of it. So I know that when you have that good support running around you, good things come out of that, dude. And so absolutely, we'll be putting all of it up there to see if we can get it in more places faster and better than before. I dig it, my man. Everybody, I dropped down in the chat. It's at True Patriot Outfitters. Go give them a follow. Subscribe to their YouTube channel. That goes a long way, as well as this show. Drop a like. If you guys are listening on the podcast platforms later,
Make sure you give a 5-star rating on whatever platform you're tuning in on. And we appreciate you guys so much. It's good to be back. New year, new Unlimited show. Just excited to just continue on with this podcast through 2023. Bring you some of the guys like Gene on Team NuCanoe, some of our great dealers across the nation. Obviously, we got product updates and things like that we release here as well as other avenues. But this is a place you guys can come, ask questions, and get some good feedback on, all things NuCanoe or kayak fishing or kayak hunting related. So we appreciate you guys. We're here every Tuesday night. Typically it's 7 Central, 8 Eastern, 5 o'clock out on the West Coast. I was a little tardy tonight, so I apologize. But I appreciate you guys, and we will see you next week. As always, boys and girls, tight lines, smooth paddling. See you.